Hi guys, welcome to Nick's Knits Podcast. I'm Nick, also known as Knits on Ravelry, Instagram, and Twitter. So hi guys, welcome to the podcast. You can also contact me via our Ravelry group and find out about all upcoming stuff. Gee, this little hair. Sorry. At Nick's Knits Podcast, and you can also find out everything about the podcast and my blog at www.knicksknits.com. So hi guys, welcome. It is a beautiful day here in New Jersey. It is just gorgeous. This hair. There we go. It is just a gorgeous day out, and I thought I might podcast. I opened up the windows for the first time, and it's just beautiful out there. I might have to go and sit outside and knit for a little bit today. But let me just get going in with the podcast. No new male knitters this week. Hopefully this week I'm going to put up a Male Knitters Hall of Fame, where basically everyone's going to be linked, and you can go and look at all the different male knitters that are out there, because I don't really have time to do it on the podcast, but I would also really like to recognize them because they're awesome for being male knitters. Hi guys. And yeah. So, let me get going in with whips. This week was rough, knitting-wise, because well, let me explain. So, I'm working on a sock for the third time, which we'll talk about after I show you this sock. It's just a basic sock made out of Valley Yarns Huntington in the sunset and blue colorways. There's the tag for Valley Yarns Huntington. Yep. So, finally, this is a leg. I'm going to start the heel once I'm done with the podcast. Well, actually, I'm going to do some sewing today, too, but yes. So, I started this, hold on, let me backtrack. So, the last time you saw, I had a sock that had stripes in it, if you remember, which was 2 weeks ago, which was forever ago. But if you remember that, it has stripes in it. And I ripped it out because I was trying to carry the yarn up the back, because I really didn't want to weave in all the ends, but it just wasn't working out for me, because the stripes were too thick. So I ripped that all out, and it was probably halfway through the leg. And then I decided that I really wanted to make a nice sock. I'm not sure if I don't think I showed this on the podcast, but I wanted to make the Volteado by Christian Jencook, sorry, which is these beautiful Fair Isle socks, and I will get to these eventually. And she wrote it pretty blatantly on the pattern, and I was just being stupid not to listen to her. But she wrote a little note that said, you know, the reason why. Well, so it's a very simple chart. Oh, it's a nitty pattern. It's on my Ravelry page. I have to switch it actually. But she wrote a note here, and I should have listened to her. But it said, most socks are designed to be worn with negative ease. However, due to the inflexible nature of stranded fabric, these socks were designed with zero ease. Because, as we all know, Fair Isle is inflexible. And so, let me show this to you again, because I kind of just... It has these beautiful chevron stripes, and it's done here in Tanis Gray Fiber Arts. I think it's the blue label. Never bought any of the yarn, but Tanis Gray, yep, blue label fingering weight, 80/20 superwash nylon blend yarn, but it's very beautiful. And as you can see here, they use like a variegated yarn, and it's beautiful. And I am going to make these for myself, but these were for a friend, and I had gotten all the way up to the leg, which probably took me a good week to get done. I got all the way through the leg, and I had done the heel, and I was on the foot, and I tried them on, and it wasn't working. They were way too tight, and I should have listened to her when she said, this is written with zero ease, not negative ease. So I ripped that one out, and that leg was probably the major part of my knitting this week, or these past 2 weeks, I guess you could say. And ripped it out. So finally, a couple days ago, like this was 2 days ago, this is what now I'm just like, you know what? At this point, I'm not going to do a pattern sock. This is the third time. I just want to get it done at this point. So I'm on the first sock. I hope to be at least finished with the foot decreases tonight, if not farther. Because we're going into Philadelphia for an early dinner tonight, and I hope to be back in time to give me a couple hours to knit before I have to go to school tomorrow. Because when I'm at school, like the only time I really get, because my school's about 45 minutes away, and so that's about the only time I get to knit during the day, and there I'm back. Otherwise, I have homework, and then I'm tired, and usually I just surf the web, which I really just need to get back into the knitting mojo and kind of just get back into it. But there's my saga. Third time's the charm. It's going to get done. I just learned my lesson about Fair Isle and about making those twists when you're doing intarsia. No, you cannot. So if you make one twist and then you knit a couple rows and then you do the same twist in the same place, the twists will show through the knitting. So like you'll see the twists on the right side. And so that just doesn't work, and that's kind of why I ripped it out. But it was looking wonky. Just, if you're gonna have to do stripes, the best way to do it, cut yarn, weave in ends. And I wasn't ready for that, so I think this is gonna be fine. My next dilemma with these socks, though, is that this is only a 218 yard hank, and this guy has a 9.5 foot that I'm making these for, my friend. And so I just wanted to do orange cuff, heel, and toe, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to have enough to make 2 socks with the leg and the foot out of the blue. So I might just have to do orange feet, which is fine. He likes orange and blue. That's why I'm making it those colors. Honestly, I should have just found like a good self-striping in those colors, because that would have just made my life easier. But the yarn is now bought, and I do not have, time to deal with that. Or, no, what am I saying? The yarn is bought, and I don't have, I'm not going to buy something else, because I'll never use that stuff. Because my thing is if I rip something out, and then I try to knit something else out of it, like a completely different pattern, I just have trouble because I keep on thinking of how I ripped it out and blah, blah, blah. But that was the majority of my knitting. I did get, while I had ripped, in between ripping out the Fair Isle and getting this started, I worked probably 10 rows on my cobblestone sweater, which you guys have seen. It's by Jared Flood. Oh, and I'll talk about him right after I show you guys, or while I'm showing you guys this. But it's just a very simple... Am I showing this right? This isn't a good photo. This is not a good photo. Not a good photo. I might not have another one. Here we go. So, focus back. Sorry for the crinkling. Yeah. It's just a garter yoke with a simple... I should have done something a little more texture or something, but it's a nice sweater. I'm chugging along on it, just getting a couple rows done. Still on the body. Still have about probably 40 rows to go. Not much to say about it. Just keep going. It's made out of the Manos del Uruguay Maxima in the coal colorway, which is... There's a number for it, M2540. That's like the number for it. So that's that. That's my work in progress. Again, I wish I would have had so much more to show you. Finished socks and possibly even cast on for that Harry Potter scarf, which I didn't happen. I'm not going to show you that again, that Harry Potter stuff, because that would have been like the 3rd week I'm showing you just the yarn. So I plan to get the socks done this week, and to get that Harry Potter scarf going, because it's going to take a while, and I want to get it done before the end of the school year, which I think I can do. No FOs this week. Again, those 2, that was basically my knitting. I didn't get a lot done, because, when I get home some nights, I'm just so tired that, like, I won't pick up my knitting until, like, 10 o'clock at night, because I'll be surfing the internet, eating dinner, doing my homework, and so that only gives me like an hour to knit each night. So in total I probably knit about 2 hours, which for me isn't a lot. That's not a lot of knitting for me. I usually knit 4+ hours during the day probably, but I don't knit during the school day. You know, I just don't have time for it anymore, which is kind of a shame because I love knitting, and you know, this week especially it's been kind of stressing me out that I haven't been able to knit a ton because I'm so busy. And so, like, you know, I just have to find my time to knit every day, and I just want to put away the device, like when I get home, do my homework, put away the devices, and just get down to business with the knitting, because I can just spend too much time surfing the internet, and it's stupid. I really just need to get down to business and knit, you know, because then nothing else will get done if I, you know, don't spend enough time on it. Stash enhancement, none. I was trying to think while I was writing the show notes. I really don't think I have any. I have a fabric acquisition, but it's not really a fabric, and I'll talk about that in a second. Yarn donations, thank you. I am making a thank you video this week on Thursday, and it should go out probably before, if not after, my podcast, but it should go out before the end of the weekend next weekend, because I have a long weekend. So I have Friday, half day Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and you know, my school doesn't give any, like, you know, it's no reason. It's just called long weekend because we're halfway through our term, which is crazy. We're almost at summer, you know, and we're so far through April 12th. Gee, it's crazy. But yeah, so I am making a thank you video. Thank you, everybody. Last call. If there's anybody that hasn't messaged me about me saying a thank you to you on in a little short video, that would be wonderful. The kids really appreciate it, and you know, every time I come into our meetings, kids are just rummaging through the yarn bins and taking what they want, and I like that. You know, I like that they have a ton of options, and yeah, I plan with the group, we're going to do a bake sale on the week of the 25th probably at school, so to get a little fundraising going. But I think I've said this before, I'm going to take them to Maryland Sheep and Wool so not this May, but next May, so a year from May. And so I think the best, you know, school fundraising is good, but I can't get enough money for me to get a bus and a hotel room and enough money to give the kids a little spending money at the place for just through school funding or school fundraising. So I think I'm going to do a Kickstarter probably in August for that. Just get you thinking, you know, we'll have prizes like hand-knitted items by the kids, you know, pictures, all that sort of stuff. And again, I'll talk about that when it comes. And I'll, you know, we'll have the conversation also about summer, because I go to a summer camp from June through August, so there'll be a break in the podcast, but there will be blog posts that will go up, but we'll talk about that when it comes. Yeah, and as I said, the trip, I have a bunch of seniors who are going to be graduating, and so I want to take them on a trip somewhere, so we're going to go to my LYS, hopefully before the end of the month, you know, on a Saturday afternoon, just stop in there, you know, say hi, look around. Hopefully I can get them, with the bake sale that we're doing, a little spending money so that they can buy a skein of yarn or something, some needles, whatever they want to buy. Yeah, so that's it on the club / stash enhancement front. Upcoming, so sewing. I'm gonna get sewing. I'm gonna clean off my desk, which is an absolute wreck. Right there. It's an absolute wreck, and I'm going to clean it up and then get sewing a little. But I thought I might show you. So I use this website, which if you haven't heard about it and you're a sewer, you're missing out. Or you know, even if you're not a sewer, just to go on there to look. It's a company called Spoonflower, and what they basically do. Here, I'll show you their logo. What they basically do is they have a plethora of you know, basically what they do is people will go on there and they can design their own designs, and then post them on Spoonflower. And basically what you can do then is I can order fabric of the design, and then they print it custom. So everything is custom printed. Everything is made to order. And they have a whole different slew of different fabrics and everything. And then they also do wallpaper and wrapping paper, which is pretty awesome, as you can see here. Some different options that they do. It's a great spot. It's www.spoonflower.com. You can go down the rabbit hole. That's a place where I spend a lot of internet surfing time. Basically, you can they have all different types of fabrics, basically for any project. And then you can design your own fabric. You can, take a picture of your family, for example, and put it on, wrapping paper or whatever. They're literally endless. The opportunities on that site is endless, and I love it. And so what I'm doing is for a friend of mine who really likes maxi dresses and is a little likes fashion and all that sort of stuff. I'm making her a maxi dress. And so what you can do via Spoonflower is buy swatches. Because as you might know from yarn, not everything is as it appears on the internet. And so to buy a swatch is always a good idea for whatever you're doing. But our color scheme is coral and mint. This is the mint. And then this is going to be, it's going to be a maxi dress where across the bust there's going to be a patterned top, and then the bottom is going to be a solid. And I think these are just beautiful. I think this coral is it's definitely more of a salmon. So I'm looking at getting a different coral color. But yeah, so here's another option. Sorry. Yeah, and that's also more of a salmon. I wanted something different, but and here's the final pattern top, just a chevron with mint and coral. I think it's beautiful. I think the dress is going to be excellent. But here's what I also bought from them is just a swatch that has different colors on it, so that you can at least see the color in real life before you order it online, which is very smart. And they have like a bigger color chart, which I'm considering buying, because this just doesn't have enough colors for me on it. And yes, it is expensive. It's very expensive. It's not cheap, which pride is a little treat every once in a while. It's kind of nice, but I couldn't, one day if I start making bags, this is probably where I'll get most of my prints, because all the prints are kind of new. Where, see, the thing is, if you look at a lot of different bag makers, not saying that these bag makers are bad, but there are a bunch of bag makers who will have the exact same fabrics in just different styles. And so if I were to ever sew bags, I would definitely want to make them, make everything go different from the pack, and so kind of have different fabrics. And this is the perfect place to go because they have millions, no, probably hundreds of thousands of designs on there that you could order, and so the opportunities are endless, as I said. And I think somebody who does a really good job about switching up their fabrics and not having, a lot of the same fabrics as other bag makers is the Fat Squirrel, Amy Beth. She does a really good job. I've never bought one of her bags. I know she has like a spring small bag update coming up, which I think I'm going to snag one of her bags. But, I just think it's good to keep things differentiated. Not to say that the fabrics that bag makers have out there, not amazing, but, to switch things up might be a good idea. Yeah, I'm going to... So I just have the swatches. I don't have any... like yard, like I can't start sewing yet, so I'm gonna sew. I have some random jersey that I bought because I've always wanted to try making a maxi dress. This is gonna be the first time. I found a really good pattern, and so I'm gonna sew up a sample because I took her measurements the other day, and so I'm just gonna sew up a sample and see how it works out, how the dress pattern is. Get me back accustomed to sewing again because it's been a while. It's been probably a year since I've really done real sewing, so I definitely want to get that going. So remember the question segment. I'm giving it a good name and a new name. It's called Question for Me, Question for You. Yeah, so let me give a little precursor of this week's question for you. I've been really into, and what I've spent a lot of time looking on the internet at, is Game Boy. So the original Game Boy had a very small screen. It's only like a 3x3 screen. No, it's probably not. It's 3-inch by 3-inch screen that basically was probably the first portable gaming device out there, and it was made by Nintendo, and I've always been interested. I remember going to a sleepover when I was like probably 5th grade, 4th grade, and I remember one of the kids at his house had a Game Boy Color, which was the second model, which had color screens on it. And basically he pulled it out and we played this, Super Mario game, and it was absolutely amazing. And I've always been entranced by retro gaming, stuff like that, ever since. And so I am in search of a Game Boy, either the original or Game Boy Color. I've been looking on eBay, I found a couple, but my question of the week for you is, anything Game Boy. Post in the episode 9 thread, anything Game Boy. Have you ever used one? Do you have a Game Boy that you've just kept in your attic? Are there any games that you think are great? Anything else? And if you have a Game Boy, I would totally buy a Game Boy off you if you had a Game Boy. Because eBay is kind of rough because there's so many people looking at it, and to get one is kind of hard, and it's not cheap. So if you are out there and you have a Game Boy and you don't really need it anymore, I would totally pay you for one. I'd pay a good price for it, and I would love to get one. Because, I've always wanted to try it out, I was never a video game kid as a kid, but now I'm sort of getting into it, and I would like to try it out and see how I like it. So if you own a Game Boy, post about it in the episode 9 thread. Story about the Game Boy. Favorite, or if your son or daughter used to have a Game Boy, or what were their favorite games? What are your favorite games on the Game Boy? Anything about Game Boy, post it. I'd love to hear about your Game Boy adventures. And I can't wait to get my own. I really like the graphics, and the games were really well made back then. So I want to see how it works out. So that's the question of the week for you. Please post answers to the question in the episode 9 thread in our Ravelry group. Now, question of the week for me, which has been, this woman probably posted a month ago, but it's from Cindy1717. And her question was, "Hi Nick, I'm really enjoying your podcast, so thank you." Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for watching. I had a question for you regarding yarn choices and projects. How do you choose yarn when at a shop or festival? Do you go for specific colors, or do you look for the fiber content? What are your favorite yarns to work with? And then how do you choose your next projects to cast on? Do you start with the yarn and choose a project based on what you have, or do you pick the project first and buy yarn specifically for that pattern? I think I do a little bit of both. Sometimes I find a yarn in my stash and hunt down a project that I can use it for. But other times I see a pattern I absolutely love and order yarn specifically for it. Although I am trying to make a dent in my stash this year, so I'm doing more of the former lately. So, how I choose. Basically, I'm a horrible stasher, because what I do is I will walk into a yarn shop, or when I'm at Vogue Knitting Live or a festival, I will walk in and I will feel a yarn. 3 things I look for when I'm looking at yarn in a yarn shop. Number 1, does it feel good? Number 2, is there a good color? Is there something that attracts me? A color. I'm somebody who I could knit with any color. As you saw with the black sequin, I can knit any color. I'm definitely a color person. I could knit with any color. I'll try and take a picture of this, my little block cube that has about half of my yarn in it. The other half is in my closet over there. And you can just see how diverse my color love is. I love naturals, neons, solids, semi-solids, self-striping, anything out there. I love yarn, period. The third thing I look for, fiber content. Well, four. I have four things. Fiber content and then price. Fiber content. I look for merino wools. If I'm knitting socks, it has to have nylon. Or it has to be really tightly wound and have a nice bouncy, or be known for being good for socks, like Socks That Rock. Doesn't have nylon in it, but I bought some anyway because I know that it's good for socks and it's made for socks. So there's that. Fiber content. You know, whatever it may be. Wool, I could basically knit with any fiber content. I'm not a plant-based fiber type person. I don't like things like linen or what else? Silk, cotton. Not really me. I could knit with it. Cotton, I don't like how it stretches out. Linen, I just don't think it's worth it. And silk I've never knit with, and I would like to try it, but I know it's pretty expensive, and so I'll get to it one day. And then the other thing I don't like, the only other fiber that I really am against is acrylics and polyesters. I can't, basically anything that's made out of a test tube, I just don't like it because it's too, you know, I've had a bad experience. We've all bought that skein of Red Heart Super Saver Solid when we were first knitting and basically said, oh yeah, this will be a great idea. I can, you know, it's so cheap, I can knit something nice out of it, and a story. Then you get it home, and then you buy some nice yarn, and then you go down that rabbit hole, and you realize that acrylic is just not the best. There are some acrylics that have gotten better. Let me see. I think I have an acrylic within reach. This one. This is a wonderful acrylic. It's called Wool Spun by Lions Brand. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful acrylic. That's why I bought it. But there are some other acrylics that just, or at least the majority of acrylics, aren't as fine as stuff like that. Stuff that you find at a Michael's, a Joann's. Sorry, I have my back. I'm just putting, like, you know, a whole avalanche of yarn came down. You know, finer quality stuff. So that's when I look for yarn, and then I usually only take a skein. If it's sock yarn, yes, I'll take a skein. My good friend Mrs. D'Angelo. Hi, Miss D'Angelo, if you're watching. She always says if she finds a good sock yarn, she'll take 2 skeins, and honestly, I think that's a really good idea because especially indie dyed stuff, you're lucky if you could find another one after knitting a pair. You know, a month or 2 later, you're lucky. You know, that, or if you could find one that looks similar, have the same colors. So she always takes 2. I only usually take 1, and I'll usually only buy, I'm a 1 skein buyer, which is kind of biting me at the butt at this point, because I really want to get into shawls, and a lot of skeins really just don't have that, which, it's alright. But, yes, so, then I stash it, and then I just get inspiration for my stash, choose something out, ooh, I like this, ooh, I like that. But let's say somebody asked me to make something, as again, with these socks, or with the Harry Potter socks. I basically, I choose the socks, sorry, they're talking out there in the hallway. I'm doing a podcast, Bob, I'm good, thank you. Okay. Yeah, so... yeah, so I always choose like a project or a pattern first. Also, like, if somebody wants me to make something, like, ooh, could you make me a scarf? I'll be like, sure. Then I go on Ravelry to get inspiration, and then usually I'll buy yarn, because there's usually a color that they want. But if it's something I'm making for myself, or Christmas knitting, you know, that will start ramping up in September, as always, for me. But, you know, stuff like that I almost always take for my stash, unless there's something I have in my mind, or I see a pattern, I'm like, that would be perfect for my Aunt Ginny. I did that this Christmas. I bought some yarn for a scarf for my Aunt Ginny. I said that would be perfect for her. I have to buy this yarn in this color because the pattern was made for this yarn and it would look perfect. So it just depends, I think, all in all, it depends. I do half and half, as Cindy says she does. I totally do half and half. But if it's just like I just want to pick up a project and knit, I don't normally buy yarn for that. Unless I really want to, like, let's say I really want to make a shawl, like the Messalina shawl by Kay Jones. That's going to be on the needles soon. And that I'm going to have to go out and buy, because I don't stash yarn in like 800 yard quantity of worsted weight. So I think I'm just going to have to go out and buy that. But, yeah, so I hope that answers your question. I do half and half usually. Just depends on what the circumstances are. So, knitting club update. As I said, all the yarn that you guys donated, it's out of here. It's now at school, which is kind of making me feel a lot better. There's a nice big empty space over in that side of my room. You know, everything is now at school, so I don't have to worry about having to haul everything back and forth from school, which is wonderful. So that's good. I was able to find storage stuff, and that was all great. Again, bake sale and trip coming up. Very exciting. I'm excited to bring them to my LYS. I think they'll have a lot of fun playing with colors and looking at different yarns and being able to buy a little something, which is good. Cal. Spring Into Socks Cal with the Bakery Bears. Still going on. It ends April 31st. Wait, hold on, let me check. It's this week it's April 30th. So on April 30th, or actually no, I'll do what Fiber Nymph usually does. She keeps her threads open through May 1st. So my thread will stay open through May 1st, but your project must be completed on April 30th. I'll keep it open one more day just to make sure that everything is kind of, that you can post, and that gives you time. But please keep knitting. Post in the chatter thread, post in the FO thread. Just keep going. And again, you can enter and do double dips. Like, I think there are probably 4 people at this point. New Hampshire Knits, Bakery Bears, me, and there's a couple other people that are doing sock knit-alongs. You can double dip in as many knit-alongs as you'd like. And as Kay said, she gave a really good explanation, I think, for why she does one post, and I think that's what I'm going to revert to for the rest of my giveaways, because I just think it's fair to everybody else. But I think if you're a beginner, you get 2 entries, right? But if you knit 2 pair of socks, that's 2 pair of socks, that's 3 entries over the 2 groups, because you can post as 1 sock equals 1 entry, or in K it's just 1 entry, and then you edit your post to put in all your socks, but you only get 1 entry into the giveaway, which is fine. We do it different ways, totally fine. So I will be doing that. I will be posting, yeah, so just I already have 1 pair. I have to edit my post because I want to put in some photos of my socks. So there's that. And now we're on to Blabber. Weather. Oh, it is so beautiful out. My windows are open. If you can hear the swans, it's wonderful. It is so beautiful. It's just so beautiful out. It's so sunny. It's so warm. You know, again, I'm guessing we're going to get some more rain before the end of the month, but I hope it stays like this through the week, because that would just make me feel really happy. I love having my windows open, sunlight coming in. It's beautiful. It's just so wonderful. Spring has definitely sprung. You know, I think that's going to be my episode title. Spring has sprung. School's going well. I'm back at it. I'm doing crew still, which, you know, the weather hasn't been great the past couple of weeks, so it's been a little cold and rainy, but we've been surviving and going out there, and yeah, just, you know, I can't believe I'm almost halfway through this term, which means that I'm halfway towards the end of the year, which is kind of exciting. And yeah, spring, I'm loving the flowers. I think I'm going to try this year to plant a couple flower seeds, get some butterflies and birds coming into the yard. I think that'd be beautiful. Or I think at least I want to put up a bird feeder this year. And then Holy Week and Easter. I hope you guys all had a great Holy Week and Easter. Christ is risen, as they say in church. It's wonderful. Finally, Lent is over. I feel like everything is just getting more positive, and it's wonderful. It's great to have finally be back into the warm season. Lent is over. Easter goes until May 24th, so this excitement for me will go through then, and will probably continue through then. It's wonderful. I think it really lightens up my spirit to feel that. As I said, Game Boy, that's what I've been spending a lot of my time on. Game Boy, searching for Game Boys, looking at eBay. I've been spending too much time on eBay. Again, so post in the episode 9 thread if you have anything about Game Boys. If you have a Game Boy and you'd be willing to sell it, PM me. Yeah, so just let me know. What is your experience with Game Boy? And other. It's beautiful out. Birds are flying. I've been trying to do a little birding every day. Just looking at the birds, writing down in my notebook a little identification. It's wonderful. I think it's really getting beautiful out, and yeah, I really want to get more knitting done, and I think I'm really feeling more positive, which is good. I think it's beautiful out. I just can't wait to sort of keep this all going, get into summer. Very exciting. All this sort of stuff. So I'm going to wrap everything up. Thank you. Please make sure to check out the blog and join the Ravelry group. Again, Ravelry group is Knits Podcast. That's how it's spelled. Join the group and let me know what you think. Please post in that podcast suggestion, or what do you think of the podcast thread. I love to get suggestions. I got from somebody that maybe moving around might be good. I'm considering it. I have my set place, and this is where I do my podcasts, so I have to think about it. I would like to move into a different spot, maybe in a window. If it's sunny out next Sunday, that would be nice. Do it in a window. That would actually be nice. Get a look out into my backyard. It's actually a really good idea. I think that's what I'm going to do. It's only shifting this table about 90 degrees, 180. Do a 180 with the table, and that's about it. And you'll be looking out my window. So, thank you very much. Please, again, post. Let me know what you think. Post for the cow. Post your Game Boy adventures and everything else. I hope you have a great week, and I hope to see you guys next week. And please keep in touch. Contact me. And yeah, bye. Bye, Centennial.